Hey everybody, it's Mike from Taxes and Bricks. Well, happy Monday. Welcome to episode 21. Today we start our 4-part series on filing status. I know, try and contain the excitement, but it is tax season. And so I think filing status is important because besides, sort of name and your social security number, maybe date of birth and a couple of other biographical facts like your address, filing status is one of the first things the government asks for, federal and state, on your tax returns. So it's important to know. So we start today with single, and I'm also going to run through some general information about filing status, and then we're going to continue on later in the week, Wednesday, and then the following week with the other filing statuses as well. Not sure exactly what order I'll go in. I'll probably move on Wednesday to married filing jointly and married filing separately, and I'll probably throw in qualifying widow or widower in as a separate, filing status day, and then we'll talk about head of household, which is very confusing for a lot of people because what head of household means sort of in common parlance is different than what it means necessarily in the tax code. But first, if you like this kind of content, you want to see more of this content, definitely hit the like and subscribe buttons below, share our content with your friends. I'm going to take a quick break here, throw up a disclaimer to pay the lawyer since today is tax advice and not funsy Lego stuff, and then we'll be right back and we'll jump right into filing statuses and particularly single filing status.
This video is rated TAX and contains occasional ramblings, mild attempts at humor, self-deprecation, irreverence, brief numerical examples, and adult tax and accounting advice that may not be suitable for all taxpayers. Viewer discretion is advised. Before following any of the advice in this or any of our videos, you should always consult with a tax professional. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Welcome back. So, filing status, again, it's important because, again, it's one of the first things that it asks on the tax return. But also, I think filing status is important because it tells us what tax to assess in terms of the percentages. There are different brackets. If you watched Friday's mailbag, you would have seen sort of the brackets are broken down by filing status, and you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're saying you're one filing status when you're actually another. It might charge you too much in tax, or bad, might charge you too little, which might be nice temporarily until someone notices. So filing status is important because of tax brackets. It's important because in some cases you are or are not qualified for a credit or a deduction related to your filing status. So sometimes married people are allowed certain things that single people aren't, or maybe vice versa. There are also these things called phase-out ranges, which I think in a later video we'll get into maybe in a couple of weeks what a phase-out range actually means. But essentially, a phase-out range is, let's say, if your income is in between one number and another, that some deduction that you might be entitled to stops at that high number and starts to kind of diminish at that lower number. So the one that comes to mind for me would be like traditional IRA contributions. If your income in a certain phase out in a certain filing status is below X, you get to contribute the maximum to a traditional IRA. Once you hit a certain income level for traditional IRA based on your filing status, you start to be able to contribute less and less and less to a traditional IRA. And then once you hit a certain amount, you're not allowed to contribute anything. And those amounts on that phase-out range are going to differ whether you're single, married, head of household, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. There are 5 main filing statuses. Actually, they're really just 5 filing statuses. I don't say main filing statuses. They're all filing statuses. Single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, head of household, and qualifying widow or widower. We're going to focus today on single. I'm going to probably in the process mention some of the others. Also, I'm going to read directly from basically the IRS's playbook here, because I think that when it comes to this stuff, there really shouldn't be any confusion. And maybe in some cases, it's good to hear my, take on things, and I'll always give that. But I think when it comes to defining something in this case, because I think the IRS, believe it or not, kind of does a good job with it, I think that it's important to sort of read their words, or at least a quick, close version of their words. So, single. A taxpayer is considered single. We're going to use the term, we're going to use sort of 2021 here, but a taxpayer is considered single for 2021 if they are unmarried or separated from a spouse either by a legal divorce decree or a separate maintenance decree on or by December 31st of 2021. Okay, this doesn't apply to widows or widowers who became widowed or widowered. I don't know if widowered is a word, but whose spouse died during 2021. Okay, because for those people, and I'll just kind of foray into this, you're technically married under the tax code, even though your spouse passed away in 2021. You started off the year married, your spouse was living, they passed away in 2021. The IRS states you can continue to consider yourself married as if your spouse was still alive throughout the entirety of the year, even if they passed away during the year and you were in reality single because your spouse is no longer living. But we're not really talking about that right now. We're really talking about just single people, okay? So you should not be looking at your apps on your phone to see if you have like Tinder to determine whether or not you're single or whatever. While that may be a really good way to figure out whether or not you're single, or if you don't have someone who's a spouse, nagging you every day, that might also be a good way in sort of the real world to figure it out. But from a tax standpoint, there is a definition, and that means that on December 31st, you were either not married to anybody because you didn't get married in the past and you weren't married throughout 2021, or you're divorced. The divorce decree came through. It's final by the 31st of December. So the year ticks over and you bleed into 2022 and your marriage ended sometime during 2021 by legal decree of divorce or a separate maintenance decree, which is a legal document as well. You're good in terms of being single, or that's what you have to claim, okay? Separate maintenance decree, I am not a lawyer, so again, I would strongly encourage you to talk to a family lawyer if you're, sort of concerned or confused as to whether or not a separation agreement qualifies as a separate maintenance decree. I don't believe that they do. I think that they're different, but a family lawyer might have a lot more. Definitely will have a lot more information. So if you're not legally divorced, but you're separated, that still might mean you're married. And so you need to check with your family lawyer or a lawyer to determine whether or not you actually qualify as single under the tax code, because whatever separation agreement you have is considered a legal document that has either terminated your marriage officially, or terminates it under the tax code, okay? So, single. Read the definition again, okay? A single taxpayer is single for 2021 if they are unmarried or separated from a spouse, either by divorce or a separate maintenance decree on December 31st of 2021. And again, doesn't apply to widows or widowers. We're going to get into them at a later date and how that all kind of works out. So if this applies to you, then you should be claiming yourself as single. Likewise, okay, do not claim yourself as single on your tax return, or you should not, if you're married, legally married, on or by December 31st of 2021. So if you got married in June, beautiful wedding, okay, and there was a piece of paper signed by a judge or a magistrate or somebody, whatever, okay, there was some I do's going on. I think you probably kind of know if you got married or not, and you're still married through the end of the year. Don't claim yourself as single because you started the year as single. I see this a lot. People will come to me and say, well, I started the year as single. I got married in August or September, so I was, married for less of the year than I was single. So therefore, using the laws of proportion and dumbness, I'm going to just say that I was single on my tax return for all of 2021. Likewise, we don't file two separate tax returns either. So if somebody gets married in August, I don't file a tax return for the first 8 months of the year as single and then the last 4 months as married. It doesn't work like that, okay? It's kind of like a binary choice. You either are or you aren't, and that's it, okay? That's kind of it for single in a nutshell, okay? So again, it's not related to the apps on your phone and, whether or not you got somebody nagging you when you come home, or whatever. There is a definition. It has to do with legal marriage or the lack thereof. You definitely need to make sure that you are claiming the correct filing status. So if you are single, claim single. If you are married, do not claim single as of December 31st of 2021, okay? And that will make sure at least you start off your returns accurately. From there, I guess all bets are off if you're using, your own tax software, or you're trying to do it on your own, or, you have a lousy accountant. But at least from there, your filing status has got you accurate, and so you may not end up getting credits or deductions or tax rates that you're not entitled to. So that's it for the single filing status and for sort of the introduction here. Stay tuned for the remainder of the series. We'll get into married filing joint, married filing separate, head of household, qualifying widow or widower. And I'll probably rehash a couple of these things as we go along through this. Stay tuned tomorrow. Tomorrow, which is Tuesday, we're back with Lego Day, which is great. So episode 22, Lego Day, I am pretty sure I am going to show you a video full of heartbreak and sorrow. You will not want to miss it, but there is a redemption. And hey, everybody loves a comeback. So stay tuned for tomorrow's episode 22. Thanks again. Like, subscribe. If you share this content with your friends, I would be greatly appreciated. We are up above 50 subscribers now, which is amazing. So thank you so much for everything you guys have done. Keep those subscriptions coming. And if you guys, again, like this content, hit the like button. Thanks a lot. Stay tuned tomorrow. Stay tuned the rest of the week. And we'll talk to you real soon.